in somewhat of an untenable position. Either accept the $40,000 bridge lighting debt in behalf of the city, or face public criticism because the city might have to reimburse the Iowa Department of Transportation in the amount of the $100,000. However, I do not believe this is routine bridge lighting maintenance. This is happening because there were problems with the original design and materials that were used for the project. And the contract with the state really was in reference, I believe, to routine maintenance of the bridge lighting. I like Osama's idea that perhaps funding could still come in after the city makes a move if it so chooses. I don't fully buy the idea that this is a city responsibility. And I do wonder now if when we voted to approve the project, which I was much in favor of, if we realized that we were taking on the future maintenance for however long, that could add up to quite a bit of money in the long run. So I'm kind of uncertain as to what is the right thing to do. I don't want to cause criticism, but I don't think the city should be doing the $40,000 investment.
I don't think the city was, the intent was that the city would be involved in the maintenance, because Muscatine Power and Water had agreed at the time to pick up the maintenance cost. This, considering the type of work that's having to be done, replacement of lighting fixtures and conduit and a variety of other things that I don't know exactly what they had to repair, but I know there's 21 light fixtures that are out and the company's no longer in business. There's probably a reason they're no longer in business, and this is not something that I think Power and Water should have to stand 100% because they agreed to do the routine maintenance of it, which would mean replacing bulbs or components occasionally if they went out. This is above and beyond, and I think it's the city's responsibility to take care of this.
But yes, comment on that. It seems, if my memory serves me correct, and I was at the ceremony where the bridge was lit, that these LED lights were supposed to have a much longer useful life with minimal maintenance costs. And so, we can look back and say, well, we should have this or that, but at the time, I think it was a good decision, and so now we've got to deal.
I think you're exactly right. At the time, it was the correct decision. But yes, Diane.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Last week I stated that I thought that they possibly these lights would enhance tourism. In retrospect, that probably is not a fact, because is someone going to drive 50 miles just to see the colored lights in Muscatine? Well, probably not. But if you're here and you have family here and you'd like to take them on a boat ride on the Mississippi and then see the lights or enjoy the 4th of July parade, it enhances our community, enhances it greatly. And also with the issue with the finances, it was done by leadership, Muscatine, in the past. And as we sometimes always encounter projects, we find out there's things that work sometimes and sometimes they don't. This time it was maybe the lighting and the company that created the havoc in the whole process. But in the true essence of working together with Muscatine leadership, Muscatine and the students, and then the contribution by Musco Lighting, the Stanley Engineering, the time spent by city, and so many hours of donated time, the total amount that the city is going to contribute is $50,000, and that's minimal in the whole scope of the package. So I agree, we need to move forward and move forward now so we can get it completed as soon as possible.
Okay, anyone else?
Mayor, I'd just like to expand on a couple points that Phil and Scott made. First off, as Phil mentioned, this appears to be a one-time thing, but we're just 3 years in, and there's no guarantee of that. This could happen again 2 or 3 years down the road, and so on and so forth. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but what we do with this is going to set a precedent for the future. If it happens again, this is what we've spent. So that sets the precedent. Now, as Scott mentioned, these bulbs are supposed to have a longer life. They're supposed to have a 12-year lifespan. 21 of them are out in 3 years. So, again, it could have been, it probably was bad materials. But again, we don't have any guarantee of that. And so that's my hesitancy to just jump in and say it's a minimal cost. It's a minimal cost because we're only being asked for $40,000 this time. What happens next time? And I have a concern about that. As Jerry mentioned, there might not have been an understanding of what they were getting into in terms of maintenance costs when they agreed to take on the project. Do we understand now what the risks are? I don't know. I don't know that we're seeing that far ahead.
Mayor, it's my understanding that Power and Water are budgeting $20,000 each year in their budget for maintenance for the future.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, in this instance, it was hundreds of thousands of dollars of work that needed to be done.
MPW has budgeted $20,000 annually to date for annual maintenance of the bridge. That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
One more point to Mark's point is I don't see this as a precedent. I mean, if we, as time goes on, if we learn that, you know, this is kind of an untenable thing and with exorbitantly high maintenance costs, that's another decision. That's the way I view it.
Well, if it happens within 20 years and we don't repair it, we're still out 100. Supposedly, we're on risk to be out another $100,000.
Well, there's that penalty if it's.
So the last comment I would make is to repeat the assertion that I made last week is if we do decide to fund this, I don't think our economic development funds, the TIF funds, are the right place. I think either we have the money for this or we don't. If we have the money for it, it should be taken from the general fund, because this is not a project that enhances property values or creates jobs. There's no tax revenue generated by this. It's repair work. In my estimation, if we're going to call it anything, it's equipment replacement. But I don't believe we should be using TIF funds for this.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I'd just like to clarify one thing about TIF. TIF funds are not economic development funds. TIF funds can be used for economic development. TIF funds can also be used for infrastructure improvements. TIF funds can be used for cultural amenities. TIF funds can be used for park improvements. TIF funds can be used for multiple purposes. One of those purposes is economic development. And the funds that I was suggesting that we utilize were designated for economic development, and in that we were backfilling a revolving loan fund to the chamber for half of that Band-Aid grant. So just to clarify, TIF funds are not economic development funds, but can be used for many different purposes. And then secondly, I see it as a little bit different precedence by council proceeding, I guess, at this point in time. I see it as a rather good precedence. I see it as another example of public-private partnership. We've got local companies that are investing. We've got the city that's looking to invest. We've got MPW that's investing. So I see it a little bit differently in that we are, again, working together to come up with a solution to fix a problem that nobody thought we would be in 3 years down the road. You know, nobody could foresee that we'd be in this particular position 3 years down the road. We'd like to get the lights fixed, back up and running. I think they're an asset for the community. So.
To fix the lights and move on.
That's right.
Absolutely. Now, Councilor, is there any other comment? Nothing. This is a roll call. Phil?
Aye.
Diane?
Aye.
Jerry? No. Osama?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
And Mark?
No.
Motion carries 4-2. Thank you very much. And we will move on. Presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution approving the annual street finance report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2011. Street-related expenditures for the year totaled $5,658,836, which includes $5,342,496 paid from city funds and funding sources, and $316,340 of street lighting costs provided by Muscatine Power and Water. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Moved by Osama.
Second, Your Honor.
Who seconded?
Scott.
Phil. Discussion. Osama.
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Diane.
Aye.
And Jerry.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to authorize the issuance of a purchase order for the relocation of a water main in the vicinity of 2nd Street and Bridge at Mad Creek. 3 bids were received, with the low bid from Triple B in the amount of $35,587. It is staff's recommendation the purchase order be issued for this work. This cost will be credited to the city's obligation for the project. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Moved by Phil.
Second, Your Honor.
Second by Diane. Discussion. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the engineering and/or land surveying services agreement for the municipal airport with the Anderson-Bogart Engineers and Surveyors Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $16,162. Annually, the city enters into an agreement with Anderson-Bogart, which includes consultation, updating the airport layout plan, updating the National Airport Systems preparation of applications for the state and federal funding of airport-related improvements, etc. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Moved by Scott,
Second, Your Honor.
second by Phil. Discussion. Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the Muscatine-Louisa Drainage District Number 13 agreement. Based on the agreement, the city will pay the Drainage Board $10,000 in full and complete the satisfaction of any amounts due for use of the Muscatine Slough in prior years. Thereafter, the city will pay the Drainage Board $5,000 per year, no later than July 7 of each year, commencing July 2012 and continuing until July 2016. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Moved by Mark,
Second, Your Honor.
second by Jerry. Discussion. Mark,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Diane,
Aye.
Osama? Aye. Scott?
Aye.
And Phil?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to authorize the purchase of two 10-foot stainless steel V-box salt spreaders. 4 bids were received with a low bid from Henderson Truck Equipment in the amount of $25,482. There is $29,000 budgeted for this purchase. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Moved by Phil,